How's it going, everyone? It is Prashan and Tucker. We're going over the best decks of the week in Marvel Snap. How's it going, Tucker?
Man, it is a great freaking day, my friend. Excited to be here. I love doing these videos every single week, and I know you guys love it too. I think we got to talk about what are we doing here, Prashant? Who are we here for? Who are we here for?
Um, Makkari just shows up, right? Just in a random location.
Hopefully, it's not Bar with No Name. Hopefully, it's not Space Throne. But more often than not, it's a worse M'Baku. But it's not a bad card, right? Not a bad card.
So, my thing is, she's not bad at all. Like, she's like a 50-50 card. If you see her in your hand, like, first turn, it's just like a pleasant surprise. And then, I think, overall, she's decent, but I would save my tokens. I would save my keys for this because it's just lackluster. Overall, it's like, all right, I could just do something with the space. But if you have like a decent deck already, you could just take one card out, put her in, and she's like a plug-in, I think. Well, what do you think?
I think the best use for Makkari is getting her from an RNG location or getting her from Arishem. And that is the best use of Makkari. Not putting her in your deck is the best way you can play Makkari, because I don't think you need the board, the card slot. She's not bad, but there's a lot of cards I would use instead of Makkari.
Well, when Arishem comes out, I'm thinking like Makkari, like M'Baku, like cards like that could just get lost in the shuffle. And then all of a sudden just like come out final turn, or like just be a surprise card. I think it would be pretty cool because you're just playing with a random deck anyways when you're playing with Arishem. So I think that's where she could fit. But overall, I'm like, I don't know. Like, she's fine. Like, I put her in a discard deck instead of having Black Cat. I put in Makkari because I guess like she's not better stats. But it's just a card you don't have to worry about.
Yeah,
then,
no, that makes sense.
Yeah, so I don't know. She's okay. But we'll go over the top tier decks this week, and then we'll go over some spicy ones that we've picked too that are pretty decent. So let's go over some of these A tier decks. We basically have Destroy here. This is the most popular Destroy deck in Marvel Snap right now, which is pretty weird how like Destroy is like popped right back up in the meta for some odd reason. Like the past few days I've been playing nothing like but Destroy on ladder for some odd reason. Like it keeps on popping up.
Yeah, I keep running into a lot of it too. I think even though there's like no Professor X anymore, I think it's the junk aspect. People are not really wanting their board to be cluttered, so they're playing a lot of these cards that kill those clutter cards. And this typical list too is very cost friendly. So like the only cards you may not have in your collection are like Nico, X23, and Null potentially. But Null's also been spotlights 5 or 6 times now, so I hope you have Null at this point. And X23 was in spotlights this week, which is another reason probably why this list is so popular right now, since people may have now just gotten their hands on the card.
Oh yeah, X23 is a card that not that many people would have had, but now they have. So maybe it's like a lot of testing with X23, new shiny tool that they have. But it is pretty weird. This is crept up in the A tier. And then next, Tribunal. This is the most popular Tribunal deck, and somehow it is A tier. So my thing was Tribunal decks, they never have a high win rate, but they have a high play rate.
Yes, and I think a lot of that is meta dependent. Even though we're seeing a lot more Red Guardian right now, that's why you're seeing a lot more Cosmo in Tribunal, and I think it makes a lot of sense to protect. I mean, you just have to play one lane in Tribunal, and then it happens.
Oh yeah, for sure. And then especially the Super Scroll play too. That's pretty much like just in case you're saying the mirror or they're playing like Blue Marvel or maybe even Patriot if they somehow do hit you with that Red Guardian. So yeah, pretty decent deck, I guess. It's Tribunal, like I say all the time. Tribunal's like the worst of the best, I think.
the worst best deck.
Yeah, like it's always a deck it's decent, but like it's not that creative. It's pretty like autopilot for the most part. You only try to hit your combo. You know if you have your combo. If you don't have your combo, you just retreat. So Tribunal has snuck up there. And then next, we have Old Faithful here. We have Surfer. This one doesn't have Makkari. It's weird. What's your thoughts on Makkari and Surfer?
So I think Makkari is a card. If you got her this week, you would put in Surfer if you don't have any of these other tech cards. I think one of the main reasons this deck also was super popular was because the hot location was the Raft. So you're playing Broods into that lane to be able to fill, and like Nocturne is just an incredible card, and like it helps Surfer even more than I thought you could help Surfer. But like if you wanted to play Makkari, you could put her in Surfer. It's not a horrible idea. I just feel like with this iteration of Surfer, you get to choose where your cards go, and I think that's really important, especially running the Brood and Absorbing Man situation, because you just have so much board space taken up. Makkari kind of can clog you in a way for you not to be able to get what you really want to get done.
So in this Surfer deck, who would you take out for Makkari?
I would probably take out Red Guardian for Makkari.
Okay. I don't know. Sometimes I think Brood, because Brood clutters the board a little bit, and you don't want Makkari just plugging in a certain spot sometimes.
You take out Mockingbird if you take out Brood, though.
True. Yeah, you take out Mockingbird, too. Who do you put in? Do you put in Wong? Do you go Wong action?
If you do Wong, you got to do a bunch of different stuff. If you take out Brood for Makkari, you put in Sarah.
Okay.
I think.
All right.
Sarah instead of Mockingbird.
Yeah. Sounds fair. That has been happening a lot too. A lot of Sarah action in Surfer. That way they could pull off those plays on the final turn. So that is another deck that is A tier. And then next we have Patriot. Patriot is also A tier. This is the most popular Patriot deck at the moment, or one of the most popular, which is pretty cool here because, of course, Invisible Woman is getting more play. You have Dazzler here that gets more play lately. And then it's a little spicy because you have Claw. I've seen a lot of Claw action with the Onslaught. So, pretty decent deck. I'm glad Ultron's finally getting his due after that buff he got with the bots not too long ago. So everyone's been relying on that. So what are your thoughts on Patriot here? Good old Patriot.
The cool thing about this Patriot list is that this one we have on screen should be affordable for everyone because every card is Series 3. So it's all about being completed there. I think there's a couple different Patriot lists going around, even with Gilgamesh, even like Mockingbird, Squirrel Girl. So it kind of is really dependent on where the meta is at, what you want to swap in, swap out. The wave tech that we're seeing in this list, as well as what we saw in the Tribunal list, I really like to be able to get your Onslaught out early to be able to set up some of these combos going forward. But I think it's a solid list, and I think the Claw is probably one of the main flex spots I like. Because I think normally I would have seen more of like an Iron Lad in this list, and then I probably would have seen less Ant-Man. But no, I think this is solid, and I see why it steals cubes. Ultron with two power drone bots now is way better than one powered.
Oh yeah, for sure. And then the Wasp too is sneaky. That final turn you could play like Ultron, you could play Wasp in the Ultron lane too, if they're only expecting that 8 power to be on the board. So very good deck, very affordable deck too for everyone out there if you're trying to reach infinite. Pretty simple, straightforward Patriot deck. And then lastly, we have Shuri here. That is one of the top tier decks in Marvel Snap right now. The good old Shuri deck. This one's like a semi Old Faithful too. Normally when people ask me what to play to get infinite, I say just go like Shuri and Shuron. That's the easiest way. You could tell if you're gonna win or lose for the most part too. Obviously you just play like Armor, Shuri, and then you play your Red Skull, and then you play your Taskmaster, and you typically win as long as you have that combo. And it really doesn't. I don't know. It hasn't. It's not as good as it used to be, but it's still pretty good. I don't know why people left it, or if it got left behind a little bit.
I think when like the power creep in this game is really like noticeable, and I think people kind of left it behind when there's a lot of Shang-Chi, because if you don't have armor, you just get Shang-Chi'd. where Shang-Chi is slowly creeping back up. I think Shadow King is more of an issue. But I like how this list has kind of evolved. Like in this situation, you're running your Enchantress and your Scar instead of a Sunspot and a She-Hulk. And I feel like there's a bunch of different ways you can play around it. The Enchantress helps, like with the other meta deck we're talking about with the Tribunal situation. So like I think it's really cool kind of how it has evolved and how it's also stayed kind of the same in the same way. But it's just like people are getting so vertical now. Hello is so big anyways. It really didn't matter if you had some of this like Shuri stuff, but always, like you said, it's a faithful list. You're always dropping raw stats, and people forget about it, so they don't really plan for Shuri.
Yeah, if you're playing Shuri, Red Skull on, you're playing Shuri on 4, Red Skull on 5, and then on 6, typically you're playing Taskmaster and Taskmaster and Ebony Maw, and then that should be enough, especially since Hela isn't Hela. I think that's probably the reason why this deck got slowed down a little bit because of Hela. You didn't really know whether the stats were gonna fall.
And this one specifically too, if you don't have your Shuri, you can Typhoid into Red Skull, and then potentially if you draw Shuri later, Shuri Scar, or you can play Scar, 2-drop in armor. Like there's a bunch of different ways you can like mess around with this list with that flexibility.
Yeah. Especially with like 0-2, you can play 0 early enough to get Ebony and Maw out early enough if you need to. Only bad part is Chiron hitting your armor. That's the only rough spot. But hopefully you have good RNG and you get armor out early. And now let's go into the spicier decks here. You were talking about this one, Tucker, the one by Raven here.
Yeah, Raven made a freaking banger, you guys. So, like, I am a very avid Black Knight enjoyer. I think I've played at least over 300 games of Black Knight within, like, the past season and a half. And I've been teching all sorts of different lists. This one right here is so solid because there's so many different lines. And honestly, like, Sandman will win you games because people are playing so many combos, so many Sarahs, so many Loki lists. But you don't have to play Sandman. There's a couple other instances where you just play other stuff. Like you can just do your normal big cards and you have your tech with Red Guardian, which I think is kind of more of a flex spot. You could also do Nocturne instead, potentially too. But like with this list, if you guys didn't know, by the way, on turn 6, if you have played Sandman, you can play a 4-drop and Jeff. Jeff is still playable after Sandman, so keep that in mind. But it feels really good against a lot of these combo decks, and I'm snapping into a lot of just Infinite discards. And if you guys even want even more further breakdown of this list, Glazer made a video of this list this past week as well.
Oh, nice.
And had over a 65, I think, % win rate, like plus 40 cubes when Glazer sent it. So like it was really, really solid.
Wow. And the crazy thing is, like, Blink is a very, very good card. Like Blink and I think Blink is probably like the new Jubilee.
Yep.
At this point, like an even better Jubilee, especially with the stats.
And targeted.
Yeah, and it's targeted too, because if you play like Red Guardian, obviously you're gonna hit either Ghost Rider, Miss Marvel, Sandman, Red Hulk, Magneto, or Infinite. And if you play Sandman on the final turn, and you don't have Red Hulk, Magneto, or Infinite, and you have Blink in your hand, you could play Blink and you're guaranteed one of those cards.
Yep.
So that's pretty cool when it comes to Blink. Awesome deck. I'm gonna definitely give this one a try.
Yeah. Be on the lookout for a Pershisi video about this deck.
Yeah. And then this is Dude, Where's Makkari by KM Best. I found this one pretty interesting. At first, I sucked at this deck. I really didn't understand it. And then over time, I got better and better. I think I climbed like maybe 2,000 ranks just off this deck. Of course, I just put Nebula into the rightmost lane, set it, forget it. You just use White Widow for some clog. Of course, Red Guardian. Sometimes I was skipping turns. Like I would skip my turn 3 if I had Prio, and I would see what they play instead of just wasting my Red Guardian. I was more targeting my Red Guardians. That way I'd snipe like their Wongs or like Iron Man, stuff like that. And then, of course, we have Nocturne here. Nocturne is really, really good, especially against those decks that want to play Magic and prolong the game. You just shut that off. And then, of course, Captain Marvel here. She's like a set it and forget it card, as well as Makkari, where Makkari just goes where she wants. Captain Marvel, you can just put her almost anywhere, and hopefully she wins you the game, especially if you're playing Sandman. And then the MVP for me, most of the times, is when I'm playing Sandman and I already have Prio and I'm winning, I just play leader. And then I win for the most part. And if I don't have leader, I just play Doom and you win games. So pretty interesting deck. I think Odin was probably maybe the most awkward card here because I wasn't able to play Odin not that much. Maybe Blink would take that spot. But
Yeah,
that's it. I think Odin was the most awkward card because I could never play him for some odd reason.
The Odin, it seems a little interesting without a wave,
right,
or any ramp card. But I think first of all, the Captain Marvel split looks amazing.
Oh yeah.
And no, this list is really good. KM actually beat me with this list the day Makkari came out.
Oh
and
really?
I was like, what? I was like, what is this guy playing? And then like I see it, and like the value you can just get, like you said, if you have priority, leader will win you the game. And like we were talking about with Sandman, anyways, people are playing a lot of combo decks, and if they can't slam their stuff down, I was playing bounce. He Sandman me. I can't do anything because I'm playing bounce. So like it's really really solid. The value you can get with Sandman right now, even him just being an on reveal, and use this or maybe the other ones we're about to talk about to get some of these Makkari missions done, guys, because she's taking up that deck slot for you.
Oh yeah, I forgot. There's definitely gonna be Makkari missions this weekend for sure. What other deck did I think that was spicy? I actually made one too. I just called this the Need for Speed. This one actually has Electro in it. That way I can play the Doom and Odin combo. I just switched it up a little bit. And then I also added Jubilee. That way I could sneak out other cards early as well. Pretty much the same thing as KM's. It's just that I tried to utilize Odin.
Yeah, no, I like this a lot, and I like the Vision spot too. Could either be Vision or Cersei.
Yeah.
And I think it's just really really solid. And like we were talking about literally just before, ramp with Makkari and especially Blink Jubilee stuff. It just feels so good.
Oh yeah, for sure. Like when you're getting ahead of the opponent and then they play like a Sarah on 5 and you play a Sandman on 5, it's over. Like you end whatever they were trying to do. It's so hilarious when I see that happen. They play Sarah, I play Sandman, they retreat.
It's literally a snap condition. You snap before you play Sandman down, and they just retreat, and you get that 2 instead of that 1, and that's you maximizing your cube equity.
Oh yeah, for sure. I think you might get +4 when you're trying to climb compared to like the +2 or whatever.
Yeah.
And then what else do I have here? This one is pretty interesting. I've been playing this one and stealing cubes as well. The whole wave Ultron thing has been happening a lot, and I decided to try it out myself. I'm not able to get that combo off as much as I want to, but I have been able to utilize Alioth in some of my games, which is pretty fun. And then as well as Galactus, especially with like Wave, just playing X-23 Carnage in the early game, and then you're playing Wave. Typically, you have priority no matter what. That way you could get Galactus to pop off, and then you just set it like you either play like Null, Death, Destroyer, or Alioth, and you win games for the most part. Unless you're playing a mirror. Mirrors suck because Destroy has popped up in A tier. What do you think?
This list is like this is a solid list, but this is not an easy list.
Oh no.
So like learning the lines is difficult, and KX got a Infinity avatar with it last season. I've seen a lot of people messing around with it, and it is very very popular. Like you said, in the mirrors it gets tricky, and I think one of the greatest things about it is because you're running so many different 6-drops, you don't necessarily know what 6-drop's going to come down on 5 or on 6.
Right. So it's like with some decks you don't chase combos. If you see the Wave Ultron in your hand, you don't typically play it unless you have Killmonger or like that's the only way you're gonna do it. So I think you're mostly patient with your combos. You're feeling the board. Like you don't chase those big plays. You just see the board, feel the board, play what's there, and then normally you win. Like there's one time I had, it was weird. I had so many decisions to play on the final turn, and I just played Galactus in the middle, and they didn't play anything in the middle, and I won.
There you go.
It was just like a simple play. Galactus. Yeah, you just feel the board and then go from there. And then next, I have a Makkari discard. So it's basically a discard deck with Makkari. Black Cat got taken out. Makkari got put in. It's pretty decent. I think I had like a 70% win rate out of like 20 games, which is pretty decent. Yeah, so simple discard deck. What do you think?
This one's solid. I mean, you're just playing Hella, so like you get the Hella value. There's another deck by Regis that also is discard. That
Ooh.
is really solid. Well, I think I might have sent it to you actually. But if not, we can talk about it a little bit. It's like a surfer discard list too. We're using
Ooh.
Strong Guy and Makkari, Dawkin,
Nice.
Brood, Proxima, and Swordmaster. So you're
Ooh.
actually going to use a lot of cards that aren't used at the moment. But I think discard's a decent spot for her too. Like I like the way she fits in this list because like the thing is like with Black Cat, you're not necessarily always going to get your Hella. Whereas like Makkari always runs onto the board, so you never feel bad about that card really being
just
in your
going,
hand.
just leaving.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So that's well, the strong guy thing too. I tried playing decks with strong guy, but I never emptied out my hand, or I don't feel comfortable enough emptying out my hand because I feel like there's good stuff in my hand. That's the only problem with like strong guy, in my opinion.
Yeah, and like I think the list that like Regis made and stuff too, you're not always playing strong guy. So like that's why like with probably some of these other strong guy lists, because I was playing some too. I made some, and I was playing other people's actually, not made any. But it was like, as you said, I don't necessarily want to discard everything all the time. So I was like, I threw strong guy on the board, but my entire plan changed. So like having to rely on one card to win you games is really tricky, which is why like Hella has so many alternate lines now with Blink, and Jubilee to help and stuff too. So like it makes sense.
Yeah. Well, it's good to get like he's a 3/9 if it works.
Yeah.
But if it doesn't, like you're stuck. You're stuck out there with a 3/3. And then let's see what other deck we have here. I believe I just have two more. Loki. Loki's back. I think that's pretty much it for the most part.
That's
like
super techie Loki too.
Yeah, very techie Loki. Very aggressive. Very on the like defensive side, especially with White Widow, Baron, Zemo. So you're like milling and then using their cards for the most part. You could go many different ways. You don't have to go White Widow Cable. You can always go like Valentina or what is Maria Hill. You could use those cards or Agent 13. So different ways to play Loki. But when the meta opens up, Loki tends to creep up. Especially since like Hella isn't Hella anymore. And then I think Gaming with Flash put Loki in his deck that beat me too. So yeah,
that was tough. That was
it hurts.
I watched that back and that was
yeah.
I cried with you.
Yeah, the RNG wasn't with me. Yeah, Castle Zemo is not my favorite. So yeah, man. Yeah, if you guys want to watch that, I do have it on my channel. If you guys want to pour one out for me.
Yeah, definitely pour one out for Pershizi here, guys.
For sure. So, is there anything else you want to mention or talk about, Tucker, this week?
I hope you guys have great RNG this weekend. Makkari's not been
full
giving me
transparency.
RNG, so full transparency. Don't spend your tokens. If you need X23 and Gladiator, not a bad week to open for him. But if you get Makkari, I'll pour one out for you, like we're pouring one out for Prashant. But yeah, thank you guys for watching. Down below, let us know what is your favorite card at the moment, and maybe we can talk about it in the next one.
Oh yeah, for sure. So thank you guys for watching. Thank you, Tucker, for being here. Till next time, guys. Be safe. Keep on snapping. Peace out.
Snap.